We'll just cut the beginning off here. I need. Okay. Do this. And I want this. Okay. Not going to work. Great. Carol's here.
Okay. Here.
Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to this.
Good. Got a
Yeah, I
couple
don't get
minutes.
my glasses. My other glasses are in the car.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay.
Just got home from an appointment.
Good timing. I'm just watching to see as more people join. I'm going to start teaching right on 12 o'clock, and I'll teach for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll do all Q&A after that, okay?
Yeah.
And some more people will probably be joining as the show
Okay.
goes on.
Yes. You look beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's good.
Put that down a little bit. There. That's better.
Mhm.
So I use this recording to make reels and cuts it up just like this, with just
Right.
me.
Okay.
Up, here's someone joining. Very good.
Do you mind? I'm going to step away just for 1 minute.
Sure. You want to go off camera? You don't have to. You can just walk away.
Yeah, I'm going to go off camera and I'll be.
Okay.
Hey, Rita.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining. Okay, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm going to teach for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll do all the Q&A, okay?
Okay.
All right, and I'm gonna
And
start
I'm on my phone, so I don't.
recording. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just put you on mute there, honey. Okay. And then I'll let more people in when they arrive. Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Systems Rescue Power Hour. This week, our topic is list hygiene. So that is your list of contacts, your email list specifically. I am so glad you're here today. So we're talking about list hygiene, and I know that may not sound like the most exciting topic at first, but it is one of the most important things you can do to protect your CRM, your email deliverability, and your overall system health. So we're going to dive into each of those a little bit more because listen, if your list is messy, your marketing becomes harder. If your list is outdated, your email results can suffer. And if your contacts are full of bad data, duplicate entries, or people who should no longer be on your active list, then you're trying to build growth on top of clutter. So today, let's clean this up together. No judgment, no overwhelm, just simple steps to a solution. So why does list hygiene matter? It really is just the practice of keeping your contact list healthy, accurate, clean, and useful. So, what that means is removing bad or invalid emails, identifying inactive contacts, preventing duplicates, organizing people properly, and making sure your list reflects reality. And what I want to say this very gently, okay? A dirty list does not mean that you have failed. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Having a dirty list or messy or outdated list or filled with duplicates, that does not mean that you have failed. Okay, it just means that the list has not been maintained yet. And we're going to fix that. And that's a very different thing from you being a failure to just saying that your list needs maintenance. Okay, so that's where we are. And the good news is it's totally fixable. All right, so step one, in list hygiene, identify the problems in your list. What's making your list unhealthy? Another way to say it. Here we go. We got someone coming in here. So look for things like duplicate contacts, invalid email addresses, contacts with missing information, old leads that no longer match your current audience, bounced emails, and people who haven't engaged in a very long time. Now, everyone has their own idea of a very long time. To some people, they might think a week is a long time. Other people might think 4 years is a long time. So there are guidelines for that. So we'll look at that very closely. This step is simply about awareness, though. We're going to dive deeper into those other areas of concern in other broadcasts. So today, we're just looking at it as awareness. So you cannot clean what you have not looked at. Okay, you have to inspect what you expect. If you don't measure something, then you can't track it. And if you don't track it, you can't analyze it. So if you haven't looked at your list, then you're not going to be able to clean it up in one fell sweep. Okay, so we've got some steps for you. Don't try to solve everything at one time. Just observe what kind of clutter is in your system, and then you'll know which things you need to address. All right, step two, separate active from inactive contacts. All right, so this is one of the easiest ways to bring order into the chaos. Your active list is made up of people who are currently relevant in your business. So leads who are still in process, current clients, recent contacts, people you've met, and people who are still engaging with you. And engaging means opening your emails, clicking on links, replying to emails or texts, that kind of thing, and engaging with you. Your inactive list may include old subscribers, people who did at one time want what you were offering, cold contacts, people that you've met over the years that you no longer have any contact with, and people who have not responded in a long time, or records that no longer need to be in your main communication flow. All right. So an example of that is a friend of mine had to close her business. And so I still have her in my database, of course, with her phone number and email, but she is not in my main communication flow because what I offer is to business owners, people who are running a business, and she's no longer doing that. So that's an example of that. Someone you still want to be in contact with, but they don't belong in your main communication flow. You do not always need to delete everything. And the friend of mine that I just gave you as an example, I still want to keep her contact information and the history of what we did together and all the communications we had. Because if I know her, she's going to start a new business and I'll still have her contact information and all the history, and she's going to start a new business and it'll add on to that. Then she'll go back into my main communication flow. But you do need to know who belongs where. And that alone creates a whole lot of clarity. All right, step 3. Remove or fix bad data. This is where you clean up the obvious issues. Incorrect emails, duplicate contacts, missing names, bad phone numbers, and broken records. So, a lot of business owners carry around a list that looks bigger than it really is because it includes a lot of contacts that they cannot actually reach. And I will say this too, again, very gently. A lot of business owners take pride in how big their list is. They say, I have 10,000. I have 10,000. My list is 10,000. My list is 25,000. I have 142,000 on my list. And they take pride in that and they feel like that in and of itself reflects a successful business, reflects that I am in demand and that what I offer has a great value in the world. However, their list could be filled with some of these things that I just mentioned, and it's not really 142,000 active contacts. And it's it's actually hurting that business owner way more than it would ever help them to have a list like that. So that can make your numbers feel better than they are having a big number list, but it does not help your business. So this is about truth. We want a list that you can trust, not a list that just looks big. Okay, step 4. Standardize your contact structure. This means using the same rules across the whole system. For example, decide how you will label leads, decide how you will identify clients, and decide how you will mark inactive contacts. And finally, decide how your team will handle new entries. Very important side note here. It's critical that you and everyone on your team does exact same thing in the exact same situation every time for continuity, so that your team members will probably leave someday, possibly. They could come and go. You could add new team members, keep all the same ones, add new team members. You must have that continuity of everyone doing the same thing in order to usefully communicate with those people. So everything has to be done exactly the same way. So that's standard operating procedures. That's training and onboarding of new team members. So the point is consistency. If one person is tagging contacts one way and another person is doing it differently, your list will become messy again, and it'll happen very quickly. Simple rules matter. This is not complex. We don't want to add complexity into your daily workflow. We don't want to add struggle. We're taking away struggle. Simple rules is what we need. A healthy list is not just cleaned once, it's managed consistently. It's like you can't just take a bath once and be done, right? You have to constantly be cleaning up your list and watching how it's being treated. All right, step 5, Remove people who should not stay on the list. This can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but it is necessary. One reason it could feel uncomfortable psychologically is if you already think you don't have a big enough list, big enough. And I would advise you, or someone advises you, okay, delete these people off your list. That might feel like, oh no, now that's going to make my list smaller. And that's going to possibly reflect on the success of my company. It's going to make me and people feel like I'm not as good as I thought I was. None of that is true. It just means that some people at one point, you gained their attention. They thought they were interested, and they probably were interested at the time, and they're just no longer interested, or they just no longer fit into what your company does. That's all. And someday they could circle back around and become interested again and join your list again. But keeping your list clean is more important than a big number or how you feel about how that list correlates to the success of your business, because it does not, the number on the list. So if someone has unsubscribed or is no longer relevant or should not be receiving your messages in the first place, they need to be removed and properly excluded from your marketing materials. So keeping the wrong people on your list can hurt your trust, your engagement, and your deliverability. And I've said deliverability twice, so I want to dive into that for a quick second. When we say deliverability, we're talking about email. We're talking about email lists through this whole training. Deliverability means getting your email into the inbox, not the promotion folder, and certainly not the spam folder. Deliverability means getting your email that you sent to your prospect or your customer into the inbox. That's when I say deliverability. And there is a host of points that we could discuss on that one subject, which we will later in some other training weeks. So this is not about being harsh. I'm here to tell you it's about respecting your audience and protecting your communication system. All right, step 6, build a maintenance rhythm. This is what keeps list hygiene from becoming a giant project later. Remember, you don't take a bath once and be good for a month, right? This is the same concept. You keep your list clean ongoing basis. So here's what we do. You might do it weekly or monthly or quarterly, depending on the size of your list and the nature of your company. Your maintenance rhythm might look like this: checking for duplicates, reviewing bounced emails, cleaning inactive contacts, and making sure new contacts are going in correctly. So inspect what you expect, all right? Especially if you're not doing it yourself, if you have a team, hopefully your business has grown to the point where you have a team. Someone's responsibility is to enter or track these new contacts. You want to make sure that they understand the instructions, they understand the assignment, and that they're doing it exactly the correct way. This is how you stay ahead of the mess. Because the truth is, a list does not usually become dirty all at once. It gets messy little by little. So the maintenance has to be little by little too. So what good list hygiene does for your business. Why is it so important? Why am I here telling you about it? Why are you here listening about it? When your list is healthy, a lot of things improve. Your email performance improves. And that is what I was saying. It gets into the inbox, people engage, and then people respond and they purchase or they participate how you want them to. Your reporting gets more accurate. You can look at reports in your business, and if it's, again, coming from a messy list and messy maintenance, it's going to create messy reports. And you're going to make decisions in your company based on these messy reports that don't accurately reflect what's really happening in your company. And your audience becomes more trustworthy. So for you to trust what you're experiencing with your audience and for them to trust you. And so your CRM starts feeling like a real asset instead of a digital junk drawer. All right. I mean, I'm raising my hand for a digital asset and not for a digital junk drawer. So that's the goal, not perfection. Just a cleaner, healthier system that supports your business instead of slowing it down. So if your list has not been, you haven't been doing maintenance on your list, it's been neglected, it's kind of overgrown, like the garden maybe out there or the brush in the back of the yard, it's just all overgrown. It's full of old data. I want you to know this. You are not behind and you are not alone. This is simply one of those foundational tasks that makes everything else work better. So, way down on the foundation of the business level, and everything you build on top of it will work better because this is done right. So, start with one step. Identify the mess. Okay? Separate inactive from active. Clean out your bad data that we mentioned before. Standardize your structure. Remove what does not belong. And create a maintenance rhythm. So once you get all those steps done, you look at your list and you might not find every single thing in the first pass through. That's okay. If you're going to look at it again in a quarter or a month or a week, you're going to find more things pretty soon. You'll have that rhythm in place in your business and your standard operating procedures, and you're going to find fewer things as you go along. But you will probably always find something because humans are putting in the data and humans are maintaining it and moving it around. So you do not have to do it all today. Just start. And if you do, you'll be amazed at how much lighter your CRM starts to feel. Thank you for being here today. Let's keep building systems that make your business feel simpler, healthier, and more supported. And this opens up the question and answer period. And I have a couple of our experts here that can weigh in on the subject. David, wanted to see if you had anything to add to the presentation since he is our tech expert and cybersecurity expert in this group.
Yeah, so I caught kind of your last bit, trying to get in here. There are a lot of things you can even do in the CRM to automate finding out when these events are happening. So even if it makes it easier, if, as maybe one, two, or three of these happen, when you send out something and you want to go in and just knock it out. I know certain platforms that I know specifically, like Go High Level does this, where it has features where you can create an automation to know when someone's email bounces or rejects, or for whatever reason. I'm trying to think. There's a couple things I've put in place. There's even some widgets I've built on the customized dashboards you can do that you can even see and click and see a full list of all things that have happened over a certain period or that are just out there kind of pending that need action. So you're not having like hunt through your list to find these things. And a lot of it you can do based on when this action happens, apply a tag. And so that's what I've done. So it kind of lets me know, and I can see right now I've got a handful of things that do need attention, but it's just when I find time. But I know, and I set it up where I get constant email pings every couple of days to let me know, hey, this contact still needs attention.
I love that. And that could be your maintenance rhythm. In fact, that could be one of the ways that you do that cleanup, like a constant cleanup. And that way, when the weekly or the monthly or the quarterly task comes along, you have a lot less work to do. You're looking for different things at that point.
Yeah, because there's always going to be stuff that's in there. And then, of course, I also recommend, and I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, Rita, but If your CRM feature has it, use the feature where it can do the email validation
Yes.
to even know that you've got a good email. Now, I will add a word of caution on this. They're not always accurate because I know from the standpoint of Go High Level that sometimes it'll tell me an email is invalid when I know it's valid because this is an email for a client that I set up and manage.
Interesting.
So I will
I
still
wonder.
in those situations I will still use a third party tool to double check, and then I've actually created a custom field where I can that's an email status field. So I can definitely say it's good if I know it's good, or if there's some other reason, or if I know it's bad, and just can use that. So then I can apply that to other automations I've built where I know, okay, we need to check in case something happened, or the system thinks it's bad, but we know it's good. We can essentially override the system.
Right, because Go High Level has a button that says exclude from email validation, right? That's what that's
Right,
for.
right. And I'll do that in those cases, but I still use my custom field to make sure that regardless of what the system says or does,
Yeah,
we're using my custom automation to say, I've manually checked this and this is what's going on. So follow my rules, not the system's rules.
got it. Got it. And David is a Go High Level expert as well, just like I am. And we work very closely together on some clients. And he is always bringing tons of value to this weekly Q&A session. So we've got some people here in the show with us. Did someone bring a question today? You can unmute if you have one. And it does not have to be about list hygiene. Your question can be anything to do with systems. Oh, Kim, go ahead.
Okay, so I am building a team right now, and there are a few other business builders with me, and I had never thought about this until I heard you talking, because you said sometimes people will leave, blah, 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 and you want to make sure that you have the right contacts that, I'm thinking about under them, right?
Yeah.
So, my question is, should I start, because I've always let them keep their own contacts and not really did anything with it, but I am kind of like mother hen.
Hmm.
But should I start maybe a Google sheet or something like that where I have my own contacts there and then have like a separate page for each of them that they can add their contacts so I can, I don't know, still have
Well,
some kind of, I don't know.
sure. And then if they leave the business or become inactive and just quit,
Yeah,
even if they quiet quit, you'll still be able to reach out to their contacts and say, hi, this is Kim. I want to help you or what, I just reach out to them somehow, right?
right. Well, the other thing I'm thinking of is because like I don't know, like we do events together.
Okay.
And so at the events, there's like little cards that people can fill out with their information if they're interested in like a free facial or something like that. And so the idea is to be able to invite them to the next event or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I literally have no idea if they're doing anything with these. So at the bottom, it says, who did you speak to or whatever. So that way, like if it has my name, I get those contacts. If it has somebody else's name, they get the contacts. But like, I don't know if they're even like reaching out to those people. I know I reach out to all mine. You
Sure, right.
know,
Yes. So, and when you say your team, you are in an organization where you kind of recruit or you onboard people and then they onboard people and then they onboard people, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I can see that, well, first of all, I know that Go High Level, I believe would be a good solution for you in the fact that you would be the main account holder and then you can put sub accounts in there for your team and then they would have their own separate list and they can only see their own. However, that could be more complexity than what's needed for the situation, especially depending on the skill level of all those people.
Okay.
And um, So your idea about a shared spreadsheet is a good place to start. And I'll say this also, that shared spreadsheet can easily be imported right straight into a system like Go High Level when you decide, yeah, this is too cumbersome. This is not really working for the team. So you say to me, look, I want that system you said that I could manage everybody all in one place. Then we can slide them right into the contact list for each of your team members into a CRM. And it just has so many tools that a series of spreadsheets does not have. And I'm sure David can weigh in on this because David is an agency owner with Go High Level.
Okay, so if that's the case, is it just me that needs to have the Go High Level account and all those other people can still input data, or do all of them also have to have the Go High Level for me to have that input, whatever?
So it's going to depend on ultimately how you want to do, and keep in mind, and Go High Level is one of those CRMs that there is a cost associated. It's a very nominal cost per email, but every time an email goes out, I mean, we're talking like fractions of a penny. And again, knowing your business model, if you're comfortable absorbing that, or for each team member, you say, hey, I'll provide the CRM for you if you agree to pay X amount for the volume of communication that will go out to your contacts, then you can do that.
Yeah.
And in that way, you only have to build stuff once, and you can then just clone it. If you need to have it slightly customized for each person that's sending out. So if there's
Right.
maybe specific wording that they use, and then when you set up their user account, you can limit them to only see contacts that are assigned to them. Because in the CRM, you can assign a contact to a person, and that's kind of how you can do it with a single account. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're wanting to do like the multi-account model, yes, then you are truly looking more of an agency level, which comes honestly with additional expense for you, to do that versus just having a single account that you pay for, and then you can just for your team members, just have them just pay for the variable charges for what their communications are. Um, and that might be the simplest way to start, in all honesty, if you're looking to go the CRM route.
Okay, yeah, that does help, because I know right now we're small. I think you learned that last week. But but I would like to get more organized and make sure that those contacts that they're getting are getting contacted. So yeah, more than likely, if I were to do this, I like how Rita said, yes, get started with, a spreadsheet, and then when you're ready, go high level. And I think I would just probably do it as a single entity to start with,
Yeah.
since we are small. So
Okay, and
Yes.
something else to think about, and I'll kind of start with a question. When you are getting these contacts, how are you getting this contact information currently?
well, I just know from what we do together, but I mean, obviously, we all do different things. So we've done events where at the events we have a drawing jar, and we'll usually do a drawing for a prize that's right then and there, so they know and they can take it home with them. But we use those to invite them to like Zoom education to know more about the products, etc., and whatever. So I've had people that have come on from me, but I've never had any of their people that have come on. So I don't know if they're really inviting or not. And
Okay.
so it just would be nice, like what I would do probably if I was sending out an email, I would say, we met you at this blah, blah, blah event. And, you spoke with whoever it was. And I probably even put there, if you want to respond to this, please contact them. And, so that would be how I would change it up. So their list, I would put their information and say contact them, but here's what we'd like to invite you to. So just, so I know that they're actually getting an invite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, would it be helpful, or would you be interested if I could show you a way where you could even potentially automate some of that piece to even get them into your database, while also at the same time you doing that through the use of a digital business card.
Um, I guess yeah. I mean, I am so new to all of this, but I mean, I didn't. I mean, I know that we need to keep our contact list up, so that I mean, the topic is a good one. And as a matter of fact, I even invited somebody who I'm doing business with to when I learned what the topic was to be on, and she says, unfortunately, I can't come, but I mean, because she's not so organized. I mean, she is doing the business for sure, but she's not very organized. And it was funny because she goes, "Oh, how do I connect to the such and such a meeting?" And I sent her my contact for the meeting, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're so organized." And I said, "Yeah, it's not too hard, but so I know that she's looking to get more organized. So
So, and that's also, and I'm sure Rita can speak to this too, but a CRM can even help with some of this. And Rita, I think this may be a potentially top to look at, in the near future, based just what I'm hearing today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you for your question, Kim. We'll follow up for sure. We'll have a one-to-one.
okay, great, thanks.
And she has her hand up.
So first of all, I missed the first 3 minutes, so I
Okay.
feel like I missed a ton because everything that you said was just like so right on target with my thinking. And I hope that I can get a recording because it was really good. So that's
Yeah.
for starters.
Okay.
And do you have a list of those things? The
Yes,
steps that you
actually,
did?
I have a checklist that
Okay.
goes every week. We have a checklist that covers the things that were the steps that we went through, and then of course we have the recording too.
Okay, I'd love that checklist. So my question is, and you know this, I don't have a CRM yet,
Correct.
even
Yes.
though I have Go High Level. I don't know how to use it, and
Right.
it's like hanging over my head. But I've got, when you were talking about big lists, I've got a huge number of connections.
Mhm.
I've got nearly all of their emails, but I don't know if all of the emails are good. What I've done in the past is just say, I'm checking out to make sure I have the right address for everyone. So if you get this, I will assume that it's okay. And if I get it back, then I'll contact you another way. But I'm sending them a note first. And it takes a lot of time to do that. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Are you sending the note by email?
Yes,
Okay. If straight from your Gmail.
not from Gmail. I send it from my jet netting account.
Okay. Okay, good. But just straight, not through a CRM, of course, right? Because you're
Not
not used.
not yet.
Okay.
So with Go High Level, if I just wanted to use the CRM, I mean, I know what it costs per month, but from David, what I hear you say, every email you send out, you pay for.
Right. And I'll give you some context. So, I mean, since I did a lot of list cleanup late last year and early this year, my volume I send out drops, but I would typically be sending out almost 1,000. It was getting close to 1,000 emails a pop at one point. Or anywhere between 600 to 900 emails. And I would usually be sending out 6 to 8 emails a month. And I don't think I'd ever spent more than 25 or $30 a month additional on top of my monthly fee for all of that. And that included some text and the registered phone number I have. So that wasn't all just pure email, but just to kind of give you some context. So you can do a large volume and it not be that expensive. I mean, because we're literally talking like fractions of a penny per email.
Yeah, like 5/100ths of a cent or two hundredths of a cent.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Now,
so the other thing I want to add, because I kind of I think anticipate where you were going a little bit, and to what I mentioned earlier, if you have your list of contacts, you could literally upload them into the CRM and the CRM can do validation. Again, they charge like a fraction of a penny per validation. But it would save you a lot of manual work. And right off the bat, the ones that doesn't, it says are not valid, meaning it detects that there's some issue with being able to deliver to that email address. You can then use another free tool to do an additional secondary validation if you need to, depending on the number that still need to be rechecked. And then after that, if it's a matter of, well, it's a valid email, but they just don't use it or don't check it, that's the whole nother piece. But so I'm not sure whether you're trying to make sure the email's good or whether it's good and they're just not using it anymore.
Well, I have heard, and I don't know whether it's from Rita or Dottie or whoever I'm working with, that if you get X number of emails that aren't good, you get banned from using
sure.
stuff.
I think
Rita,
it's about 3% is you want to be under like a 3%. I forget what the metric is, but again, if by literally just uploading your contact list in the CRM and let it run the email validation, it doesn't actually send it out an email. It literally just performs a check of that email to confirm if it's even deliverable.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, that
Yeah.
clears that up.
And you are right. So remember the person during the training I mentioned, let's say they're so proud because they have 142,000 on their list. They have 75,000. They have 10 or 15,000 on their list. If they're sending emails out to those people, not watching the result of that, not watching their analytics, then they are highly likely to be sending to bad email addresses or emails that people don't use anymore. And they are destroying their reputation with the email provider. That's the one who holds the keys to the vault. Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and iCloud. But those are the three big ones. They make the rules that we have to follow. And those rules are specifically and exclusively designed to keep spammers out of your inbox. And so when we comply with those rules, we validate ourselves by saying, I am not a spammer. And so one of those rules is that if you get too many bounces, or people aren't opening your emails, that kind of thing, and you consistently continue sending to them, that's what spammers do. They send to email addresses that they don't know are dead because they don't care. They just send to millions of them, right? So we don't want to do what the spammers are doing.
So,
And
no, go on and then I'll ask.
well, and it puts a little cramp in our style. And like 2.5 years ago, when this really came down like a heavy hammer, I was doing a lot of education about this because it was different at the time. It's still in place. In fact, they change the criteria even now. And the whole purpose of changing that criteria again is because the spammers, they morph and they change their approach to try to get into the inbox. And so then the providers have to put up another wall. Then we have to comply with that new wall as well. So it's a moving target all the time. And there are people like David and me and others that know. And Scott Hartley is our email deliverability expert. He's not here today. And that's what we do is we help with that. And we tell you all the rules that you have to follow and we help you stay in compliance with that.
So I have, I pay through GoDaddy a, I guess it's a validity list. It's a quarantine thing that takes a lot of the,
Good.
I don't know, it seems, it makes me go through everyone to make sure I want to receive an email. So if I block something, does that put a stain on their reputation?
It's going to be dependent on how the system you're using reports it.
I don't know. It's GoDaddy's security
To be
system.
honest, I honestly can't speak much to GoDaddy. I've migrated off using them years ago. And actually, I just saw something recently where someone else I know posted on social media about a huge issue they were having. And I can understand knowing how things have changed at GoDaddy since they kind of got away from their core services that they were known for.
Mhm.
So I can't intelligently speak to it to know exactly what product or service of theirs you're using. But if it's one of those, and in my professional opinion, I will say probably a lot of what you can find at GoDaddy, there's probably better options out there that can do an even better job. Because I also know from a support side, if you need to reach out to GoDaddy, from what I've heard from a lot of people that still use them, it has not been the best situation.
No, it is not the best situation. I sincerely despise GoDaddy, but I bought my Microsoft program through them, and I just dropped. They wanted $900 to continue with it, and I went, no, 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 I'm not doing that. And
Okay,
so,
so that tells me a lot right there. So um, I can probably definitely help you with that too, if that's something you want to maintain, but not be under GoDaddy's purview.
well, I will seriously consider that. The only reason I did it is because my main email, my JetNetting email has been hosted on GoDaddy, and they were going to just cut it off. And I didn't call Rita because I just was really scared I was going to lose that email address where everything I have coming in
Mm,
goes to that one, other than if I can't get something through, or if I don't want someone to know my JetNetting address, I use my Gmail address.
mhm.
But I don't use Gmail because I thought that Gmail was not professional.
No, free Gmail is not.
Well,
And
any free email address is not
right.
a professional business representation.
That's why I don't use it unless, since I've been scammed, I'm very careful about anything getting through. Okay, that gives me things to think about.
Yeah, I understand that. And boy, uh, being taken advantage of, being scammed, someone just misrepresenting what they can do for you and how it really makes us once bitten, twice shy. And therefore we can hold back on business decisions and moving and taking steps that we need to take because we're afraid for something like that to happen again. It is so understandable. And you want to analyze and pick the right solution so you don't open yourself up to something like that again. I
Yeah.
get
And
that.
Rita, that may also make another good topic because this whole email piece can literally just be its whole own session. There's so
It
much
can be.
to peel back and go through and just really outline because again, this is something that I see, business owners, do all the time. You're just getting started, you're trying to figure out, you don't know where to go, and you know the big names you go there, they typically get you hooked with, really cheap offers, and then they always kind of put you over the fire, so to speak, when it comes time to renew and jack the rates. And it's not more often than not, they're not truly giving you the proper
Yeah,
service that you need for the long term. Um,
that's right.
So
and
I'm sorry.
no, and I was just gonna say that's all I'll say before I end up going down a rabbit hole because literally,
Yeah, I just had one more question. And because Kim's on, I know this to be true, is that like Kim doesn't always look at her email. So if I want her to really get something, I have to text her and say, look out for the email so that
Mhm.
she responds. So what do you do with those people who, it's not that they're rejecting your email, but they don't like to look at their email. They just look at text messages. Is there a way to take care of this?
yes. So one example I'll give you in the CRM when I set up booking calendar and people book, I'll send the system will send, and I have my own custom deal that will send stuff too with a confirmation and reminder emails, but I know people don't always check. And so I then send at certain times or at certain set points, I'll have the system also send a text message if I have a phone number for them, and as long as they haven't opted out of getting a text to say, hey, just a reminder, your email's coming up or your appointment's coming up. Check your email for details.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, I really am becoming more fond of the tandem text and email. And so I will just remind everyone of this one thing, and because it happened today. someone that I communicate with regularly via text through my CRM, she replied, "Stop." And I thought, why did you do that? All she meant was she didn't want to hear more about it was this particular reminder. And she's like, I got it, it's on my calendar. I don't need it any more reminders. But when you reply stop to someone, they cannot text you anymore about anything. So if you only, and the same with the email, if you unsubscribe from email, that's it. You're not getting any more emails from them about anything. Well, they shouldn't. That's what the rule is. And so if you want to say to the person, I'm not interested in what you just now texted me about, or I don't want any more communications about this program. I'm not going to buy it. I don't want it. But it's not a nuclear bomb. You don't want to eliminate all emails from them or all text messages. So if you do the stop or the unsubscribe, and sometimes you want that, you like, I'm done. I don't want any more of anything from you, then that's how you do it. So I would like to see the industry in general come up with something in between, but that's not their responsibility. It's our responsibility to manage the relationship with the person. And so I and David both, we have developed an interim step where we can say to the person, instead of the unsubscribe at the bottom or the stop, if you don't want to hear any more about this subject, just, click here. If you don't want any more emails from me at all ever, then click here. So then it's easier for the person to manage, because almost all the time when someone unsubscribes from you, if you are in regular communication from them, they didn't mean to do the nuclear bomb. They just are done hearing about that one particular thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and real quick, I'll also add to that. Well, right now well, this pertains more to email. That when you have an unsubscribe link, and if all they have to do is click that link and they're off, something I kind of learned the hard way, that there are some email security solutions out there that will essentially detonate every link to check them to make sure they're safe. And if your unsubscribe link, all you have to do is something or someone has to essentially click it and activate it, that person gets off the list.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind when you're designing. And the kind of what I learned from one of the marketing companies that I utilize is just send them to a web page where just a simple form where all they got to do, type your email to be unsubscribed, and then they'll actually be fully unsubscribed.
Yeah, and that's the secondary place you could put that option. You want to unsubscribe from everything from me, or do you just don't want to hear more about that? So you could do that way as well. So it's a safety feature for them and for us.
Yep.
Excellent questions, Heshi. Excellent.
Thank you.
So Kim, did you have your hand up? Did you want to add something to Heshi's, or did you have another question?
You're muted, by the way, for talking.
Yes, I was talking. So yes, she's absolutely right. I don't check my email all the time. And so I do tell my friends that if they really want me to respond, they need to text me. And I know that that's not a good way to do business, but but I literally, and I've tried to clean up my email, but I literally get over 1,000 emails a day. And, I try to get off all these lists and I can't. So it gets buried, but if I know somebody sends it, I just type in um, their email address or whatever, and it'll just pop up, or type in their name. But I also wanted to say thank you, Rita, that you have your systems in place that send me text.
Yeah, I saw you
remind me.
responded and said, "Oh, I love these reminders." So thank you for that feedback.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and I'll also add on the email when you're on the receiving end, and if you're like Kim, you're getting a ton a day, and there's certain people you always want to make sure you want to see. depending on the platform you use, some systems may have it where you can tag someone as a VIP, so those always get highlighted, or you can create rules that anything that's important, gets flagged and are highlighted so you can see it, or even maybe filter that to a dedicated like VIP folder where all important stuff. I need to go to this folder to check for it. So
Well,
just something else to keep in mind.
I love
Right,
that.
that's nice.
And the opposite, a flip side of that is you can filter when something comes in from, let's say, J.C. Penney, and you no longer care about them, and
Right.
you can say filter from this domain
Oh,
and delete them or put them in the junk folder or whatever you want. That way they don't
oh,
even show up in your inbox. You
I
would
love
need to
that.
do that
That
for each domain though, but it will cut down. It'll be some work at first, but it'll cut way down on the amount of stuff that lands in your inbox.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're,
I will do that because that
you're welcome.
will help. And then then I don't feel like so overwhelmed to check my email. So,
And
Yes.
if I may just put out there, and not like to be salesy or anything, but if anyone that does have like true business email and it's not a free email, and you are struggling and you want like a true system that can not only help filter but also keep all the bad stuff out, and even put protection, so if you do click something and didn't realize it was bad, this system can help prevent that from actually going through. I do have a solution that I can offer if that would be of benefit or help to anybody that would like to know more.
And then David, your QR code that we can see right now over your left shoulder, that's how they can
That will,
reach you.
yes, that will go to my digital business cards. Actually, what I mentioned earlier, I forget who said something. I mentioned that. Um, Actually, I think it was Kim mentioned it. Yeah. So it'll pull up a form where it'll be like a contact exchange, and I'll get your information. You will then get mine. You'll get my digital business card. And actually, once you get there, there'll be a link to my booking calendar on that page.
Hmm.
And once you do that, you're now automatically going to be put into my CRM, and I'll get a notification that I have a new networking contact.
Okay.
Yep. And Carol, I see your hand is up. Oh, go ahead. You can do that QR code.
Yeah, well, I want to test that out. It's a little blurry on my screen.
If you
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. I guess I
Oh,
just need to speak
and
so
my
you see me.
screen. Okay. And it said reach solutions. I think that's what popped up.
It's
Oh, reach. Oh,
Res Tech.
Res Tech Solutions. Okay. Um,
Yeah, so it should go to page. It has my headshot on there.
okay, it's opening up right now. And that was something I didn't know that could be done because I am really tired of entering business cards into iCloud and then
yeah.
exporting them and adapting them to upload into high level and tagging them. It's cumbersome. So you can actually just have them go automatically into high level.
Yeah, so
Not
if
from a
you
paper business card though.
well, actually, because I haven't used it, but my business partner has told me if you got the mobile lead connector app, because that's what runs a lot of the back end, there's, I believe, a feature in there now that you can scan the business cards with.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Now, it
More.
may not be totally accurate, it may not pull everything, but if you already got existing cards, you can try that.
Okay.
Or the other thing is you can literally create a CSV file, type it all in there, and then you can just do one single upload from that CSV file instead of having to
Hmm.
do it in the iCloud and then export and do it, because now that's just adding an extra step.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about on your strategy session, Carol, that we had. Yes.
Right.
But the great thing is, if you do have something like this digital business card, um, where essentially I have it where you can't get mine without sharing your contact info first, because not everyone actually has a card when I go to events, and I just ask them, hey, do you mind just taking 10 seconds, quickly fill out your basic info and be done with it? And I can usually get a good handful of people to do it, and then I can come back later and see, okay, great. And now I've already got automation set up in my system, so they're going to get an initial email again with my information and a link to my like a V card as well that they can add into their Outlook if they want. So it's a very powerful what you can do with the CRM.
So this is what he was talking about. Oh, is it showing at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the screen there? When I go to enter a contact in my phone, it can either type it in or I can scan their business card right there. And that's a go high level function.
Oh, Go High Level does it? Or
Mm-hmm.
you said mobile lead connector. Is
Well,
that
it's the Lead Connector app.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go search for it in your app store,
oh,
it's going to be called Lead LEAD space connector.
oh, space connector.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 words.
Just lead connector.
Yeah, Lead
And it looks
Connector. It's
like,
going to be like an orange looking cube.
oops,
Read it,
can't
your
see it.
camera's on.
Yeah,
Okay.
can't see
No,
it.
on your phone, it's your camera.
Oh, I touched
It's
something. It's
Okay.
the other one at the other side of this.
Okay.
You see lead connector there?
the
Oh,
one on her left with
okay.
the massive amount of notifications.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what it looks like. So you always want to get the right app when you're looking for an app.
Okay. So it's orange and has like little lines coming,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
where,
it's a
Yes.
white background with like a cube that's kind of like outlined in orange.
okay. Is that a high level app or is that outside of high level?
It's tied to high level because that's what runs a lot of the back end functions.
Oh, it's tied to high level. Okay.
Yes. So when you get the app, you'll sign in with your Go High Level credentials.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't realize that. I do have a question about domains. I think I ran this by Rita too. Is to email out of high level, you know, how do you make your domain trustworthy that people are getting it? See, I've been using iCloud for all my email and all my business and everything. And if I'm going to switch over and use high level consistently, um, I'm going to have to change emails. People know me by iCloud for the last 6 years, so they see my email, they open it.
Yeah,
You
so
can,
it's gonna it's well there's a it's a I'll explain it this way because when you switch to a true business email, you'll want to do 2 things. One, even though iCloud's been your primary, you want to go ahead and probably get established with a branded domain-based email on Microsoft 365, and that's what I recommend. And you want to get your stuff that's essentially Microsoft Direct. I will say this again, I'm also a reseller. When you go through someone like myself, I have other methods if you need support where you're not having to talk with like the Microsoft reps over in India. So I'll put that out there. And I don't, the pricing you pay me is the same pricing you pay for the licensing from Microsoft Direct. I'll just put that out there. So there's no price benefit other than what you get from a support perspective. But then you get that established, and then for Go High Level, if you want to use that same domain, you typically will set up like a subdomain. So it would be like email.yourdomain.com kind of deal instead of yourdomain.com, or you get a whole separate domain to use just for Go High Level. And then there are certain records, and this goes back to the whole email compliance thing Rita mentioned earlier. And regardless of where you're doing business email from, whether it's straight traditional day to day like with the Microsoft or your marketing on Go High Level, they all still need to have the same verification records associated with the domain to prove that you own the domain and this system that's emailing on behalf of that domain is authorized.
yeah.
Mm.
And I
And I
liken
know,
it
and I know
to,
it sounds complicated, but
yeah. Well, I
it's
liken it to in
yeah.
the United States, when we drive a motor vehicle, we have to have three pieces of information that validate the fact that we're allowed to drive this vehicle. We have to have a driver's license, insurance card, and a registration for that vehicle. So it's along the exact same lines with these three settings that David's talking about, the DNS records. You have to prove that you own the domain and set up certain specific criteria that those email providers look for, and then they say, "Oh, you're valid, so you can come in the inbox."
Okay.
And,
Welcome to the inbox.
well,
Well,
and
that
then
I haven't changed over, is because I didn't know how to do that. And
Hmm.
someone mentioned all this to me and I went, I was like, oh, that's over my head.
Yeah, I'll just stay where I am with iCloud,
yeah,
right?
It
Yes.
works, yeah. But,
I mean, I'll put it this way. If you decided tomorrow morning you wanted to make that switch, and let's say you called me or someone who does the same stuff that I do, and if they're very proficient, I know I could have you up and going in a matter of hours with the new email.
and I have to find a domain that I like because I don't like the domain I'm using right now in my high level
Right.
at all.
Well, and the sky's the limit because there's hundreds of domain extensions now that you can pick from. So, like for
Yeah.
example, mine's a dot solutions. So literally, I took my company name and just put a dot in there because they already had an extension that matched my company name.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
wonder if they have enterprises.
But you can go on any. Oh, and the other thing I recommend if you're going to buy a domain, my recommendation is to use Namecheap.
Namecheap. Okay.
Yes. Their pricing is going to be a tiny bit better typically than GoDaddy. Plus, they're easier to work with because they know their core what they do, and that's what they do. Unlike GoDaddy, they decided, well, we do this, but now we're going to do a million other things, and now our core and everything else just sucks.
Yeah.
Been on
That happens.
GoDaddy for 30 years. And yeah, I've got domains over there, but
Well, and
um
you can transfer them over to Namecheap, and typically you pay like a transfer fee, which once you transfer it in, they basically tack on another year to the from the end of your existing term.
mhm.
So, as long as you're not within like 60 days of a renewal or purchasing the domain, you
Yeah,
usually can transfer at any time,
yeah.
um,
Yes.
and they legally have to let you do it.
One last question. I know we're right at the top of the hour. Can you use multiple domains, different names for funnels in high level? Like if I build a funnel for a completely different focus, can I actually get another domain and have that for that funnel?
Yes. And just like the emailing, you can also do subdomains on funnels in there. Because, for example, a lot of my funnels and landing pages, I use a subdomain with the word go, G-O. Just because when I was trying to figure out years ago when I was just getting started, this was the recommendation that I had gotten from when I got onboarded.
Okay.
Um, and then there's actually a third piece in there. There's actually what's called a branded domain that you'll find under the business profile. And typically that one you'll do like link because those are going to be like all the system links when you send emails or the booking or you send them to directly to like a widget or whatever. When they click on something, that will be initially what briefly flashes. And so typically what I recommend is you just put the subdomain of link dot whatever your main domain is for that one. But so essentially you'll have at least in the go high level three primary domains. You'll have the main domain that you associate like for the any web pages or stuff that you might build. You'll have the branded domain, which is that link domain, and then you'll have your email domain or subdomain.
Okay. It's
There we
complicated,
go.
but okay.
Yeah, but it
Uh,
makes perfect sense to David.
It
So
does.
that's the one. It's like, if you're going to have some kind of procedure, my brother's having gallbladder surgery today. It happened a few, and to the doctors, it's a walk in the park. It's like so routine to them. But to us, it was a really big deal. And so to the business owner like you're thinking, change my domain. Oh my gosh, got this and the DNS records and what are they talking about? But to David, it's very routine. He does it regularly and he knows exactly all the steps and what to look for and how it all works. So that's a comfort to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus I like own. I think I've lost count. I think I'm over like 10 domains I own, and I've done this on a handful of my domains, so as well.
Yes. Um, One last thing. I noticed that high level is very slow. You have to kind of wait. Is that sort of a characteristic of it?
From what I've seen, it kind of depends. It's going to be somewhat on them, but it also could be, your internet bandwidth or speed, or maybe what's going on with your computer. There's multiple layers that involve that can affect that.
Okay, thank you.
And Heshy, you get the last question.
Yeah, this is a quick one. Is there, I'm using Cloudflare.
Claire? Hmm.
Um, it was so hard to set up that Dottie Scott got on the phone and she did the whole thing with me. So is there a difference between Namecheap and Cloudflare? I'd like to be able to do something I can do on my own.
Yeah, Namecheap, what I've found is one of the more simple domain hosts or registrars to use. And the other thing I will advise everybody I talk to that wherever you buy the domain, that's where you also want to manage the domain records or the DNS records. Because once you start by having the domain owned here, but managed here, it becomes very confusing, even for myself when I'm working with a client or a new client, because there's been many a business that's come to me and they're having an issue we're trying to figure out, but we're getting pointed in like three different directions because everything is in different places instead of it all just being in one place. So to make your life easier, if you're going to buy it Namecheap, manage it at Namecheap. If you're going to buy it at Cloudflare, manage it at Cloudflare. But yes, I understand the issue with the complexity of Cloudflare. It is definitely more complex because of what else they do. But probably for the average small business of what you're doing, Namecheap is more than sufficient. I run all my domains on Namecheap and have no issue.
Okay, I don't even know what else they do, so I
Mm.
just wanted to see what the difference was. And I since this is the last question, I don't have another question. I just want to say this was super phenomenal.
Oh, fantastic.
I really appreciate this. There's so
Thank you.
much information. So if it's okay with Rita, I'm posting it on Facebook because I think people should be on your
Oh,
session all the time.
oh, Heshy, thank you.
I
And
My
agree.
if
pleasure.
anyone feels like it, we can stay after the recording and do a little testimonial if you feel like it. And then something that David and I can use to promote and so tell more people about this so they can join. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and